Throughout the novel, Buck meets many unique characters. He developed character traits, and this is because of the people he meets in his life. Buck lived at a judge's house in Santa Clara Valley. If not for Manuel, he would probably had one of the easiest lives a dog could have. Manuel was a Mexican and was one of the judge's gardener's helpers. But because of gambling debts, Manuel steals and sells him to dog kidnappers.
Buck's opinion of humans weren't bad at the time, so he had followed Manuel without resistance. But once Manuel had brought him to the kidnappers, who beat Buck, he quickly changed his mind. A man in the red sweater was an unnamed man who taught Buck that a man with a club is a lawgiver, a master to obey. Knowing this, Buck was gaining wisdom and knowledge.
His first masters, Jarod and Francois, were two Frenchmen. They work for the Canadian government, delivering dispatches to outposts throughout the frozen north. They taught Buck how to properly be a sled dog. This helped Buck become one of the top dogs in his group. He remembers them later in the book, comparing him to his next masters.
He eventually rose to the leader of the pack, and was then sold to a trio named Hal, Charles, and Mercedes. Charles was a middle-aged master of Buck's. Charles comes from the south, and he does not understand the ways of the north or how to handle dogs. Mercedes and Hal have similarities to the same traits as Charles. Hal is cruel to Buck, and he whips at his dog and gives them no rest. This causes many of the dogs to die. Mercedes is a pathetic excuse for a northerner. She cries when things don't go her way, and is mentally unstable. Buck dislikes the trio, because they don't understand how to take care of dogs. Later on in the book, their stupidity kills themselves and the dogs.
Jean Thornton saves Buck's life. When Hal whips Buck repeatedly, Jean steps in and stops it. He keeps Buck with him, and shows Buck love, care, and loyalty. In return, Buck does the same. Buck listens to whatever John tells him to, and once, when John was in a tough situation with a bet, Buck pulled £1,000 for 100 yards, so John could win the bet. He saved his life a couple of times. For instance, when John was going to drown, Buck saved him and brought him to shore.
One day, when Buck left to the forest and when he came back, he saw his companions and died, and a group of Yearhat Indians were celebrating. Buck turned into a savage beast and killed them. They refer to him now as the Ghost Wolf and a legend.